Hello everyone and welcome back. Let me ask you something. What if today, in just few minutes, you could build your very first AI agent? Not theory, not demos, but a real agent that can think, ask question and give answer. AI agent may sound complex, but once you understand the basics, they become surprisingly simple. In this video, we are starting from zero and building our very first AI agent together. An AI agent is a program that observes user inputs, thinks using AI model, and responds intelligently. It is not just a chatbot. It is a system that follows the instruction, make decision, and produce meaningful output. Today, we will build a very simple agent so we can clearly understand how this process works. Before we build anything, let us make sure the basics are ready. In this example, we are going to use OpenAI platform. So you need to have an account at OpenAI platform. This is where the intelligence of our agent come from. You also need to add some balance. $5 is more than enough for learning and testing. Finally, you need to generate an API key. This key is extremely important. Do not share with anyone, and once it is generated, copy it and store it safely because you cannot retrieve it again. Let's check it out practically how you can generate this key. Creating API key is a very simple process. On your browser, search on Google OpenAI platform, sign up and select the first link, which is platform.openai.com. So you will be redirected to platform.openai.com. Here the process is very generic. You have to whether you can have your Gmail account, you can use that account, or you can give your own email address if it is not in Gmail. So I'm not going through with this sign up process. You can sign up, you can create the account. Once you create the account, you will be redirected to over here. So you can see platform openapi.com settings, organization you can create, multiple organizations you can create, and API keys. So once you are on this page, the process is very simple. You can see here create new secret key. So I will click here and I will give test key and you can select any project. So for me, it's a default project. So I'm selecting default project and just click on the create generate key. So now this key has been generated. You have to copy it and you have to keep it secret because once you lost this key, you cannot retrieve it back. So if I'll click on done, now there is no way I can get this key. I can edit only name. Instead of test, I can give my agent 1, but I cannot have that key. So keep it in mind, once you copy that key, you have to keep it some secret place where you can use in your account. After once your usage is done, you can delete the key. So right now I'm deleting this key and done. So I'll see you in the next video. Since this is our first agent, we are keeping things intensely very simple. Our agent will do only two things. It will generate intelligent question and it will generate the correct answer for those questions. This limited scope helps us focus on learning how prompts and response are really work. It is equally important to understand what we are not going to do. We are not going to build a full user interface. We are not calculating the real IQ servers, or we are not handling the authentication or the storage. Those are important topics, but they are not required to understand how an AI agent works now. Learning to build your first AI agent changes how you think about software. Instead of writing a fixed logic, you start designing behavior. You tell the systems how to think and how to respond. Once you understand this fundamental, you can build more advanced agent with memory, decision making, and real world integration. This is why building your first agent is such an important step. By understanding this simple agent, you unlock the ability to create much more powerful system in future. This is the foundation of modern AI-driven software and everything built on top of this core idea. So let us begin with our live demo. Today we are going to build an application that evaluates users' IQ. Now to evaluate someone's IQ, our application needs to ask intelligent question that actually test how a person thinks, reasons and understand the problems. Along with that, we also need the correct answer for those questions. Once we have those two things, the question and the correct answer, we can later use this information to calculate the IQ score. But for this demo, we are not going that far. In this session, we are focusing only on generating intelligent question and generating their correct answer. This is intentional because the first agent is not about building a complete product. It is about learning the fundamental of how any AI agent works. And trust me, if your fundamentals are strong, you can build any complex AI agent later, no matter how advanced it looks. So let us start building our very first AI agent. I am using Visual Studio Code as my editor, but you can use any IDE of your choice. This tool does not matter, the concept does. I have created folder called demo project. You can create this folder anywhere on your system where you want to store your agent code. Inside this project, I am creating another folder called agent1. This folder will contain all the files related to our first agent. So let me go here and let me create a new folder which is called agent underscore one. I will keep all the agent one related files in this folder, and you can give any name, it doesn't matter. Now inside a agent 1, I am creating our first Python file called main.py. This is where we will keep all the codes regarding to agent 1. So I'll click on agent 1 and I'll create one file main.py. Now in this file we are going to write the actual code. Now to keep things simple and easy to follow, I have already written down all the steps that we are going to follow while building this agent. We will take one step at a time so everything stays clear. So let me put down all the steps here, but we will go one by one. Now let us move to the first step and start building our agent. Now that our project structure is ready, let us start writing the actual agent code. The first thing we need to do is import the required libraries. So first library I'm going to import is from .env import load environment library. So let me just put it over here. The next library which we are going to use is from OpenAI to import OpenAI. This one is to talk to the AI model. And the last one we are going to use import OS to read the values from the environment. This is a standard setup whenever you want to keep sensitive information like API keys out of your code. As we saw in our previous video, once you generate the OpenAI API key, the best practice is to store it inside the environment file. Inside our project, we create a file called .env. Inside this file, we add a variable named OpenAI API key and paste our API key there. This keeps our API key secure and ensure it is not hard-coded inside our application. So I'll keep my API key here, and don't worry, you can't use this key because once I'll finish this video, I'm going to delete this key. So you won't be able to use this key. But you are not supposed to share your key with anyone. Now we are going to load this environment variable. So let me write load.env override true. So it will load whatever the keys I have defined in .env, and it will load in my environment variable. So now we are good over here, and now we will declare a variable with open API key. So let me just declare one variable. Open API key, and I'm getting the open API key. So you can see open API key, the same name should be present here. So let me scroll down here, and you can see open AI API key is here, which we are loading in this main.py. Now let's move to the next step. Validate the API key. At this point, it is very important to validate whether the API key is actually present. If the API key is missing, the agent cannot work. So we will add a simple check. If the API key is not found, the program throws error and stop execution. Otherwise, it confirms that API key is set correctly. This is very good habit and saves a lot of time debugging the error. So let's put one simple code. I'm happy that Copilot is adding the code based on the comments which I have provided. So we are going to write if not open API key, then raise error. So API key not found, and let's say we will add else part, print API key found. So this is a very simple check whether we are just checking if API key variable is there or not. If you have not defined, it will throw error. So let's run this program, and I will run this program by python main.py. I'm already in agent1 folder, so I can run from here. So python main.py, and it says API key found. Now let's do one thing. Let's go to .env, and I will simply delete the key from here, and now let's run it again. So if I do not define the key, then it says API key not found, and please set the open API key variable. Now imagine I'm adding some incorrect key. So instead of giving this one, let me delete some of the part, and now let me run it again. So what it will say, python main.py, and it says API key found. Why? Because here we are not validating API key with OpenAI platform. We are just validating the variable. So this is, yes, open API key variable is present. So that's why it says API key found. It doesn't validate whether it is the key value is correct or not. It just validates the variable. So we have to check this one. Now let me keep the correct value, and we will test this one more time when we connect with the open API. Let's move to the next step. Once we have validated the required variables are present, we will create an instance of OpenAI client. This client is what is our agent will use to communicate with the AI model. You can think of this as an opening a secure connection between your application and the AI brain. So let me go ahead, and in step 3, I will write OpenAI, and as you can see, my code is already there. So OpenAI client, OpenAI, and I will, this is my OpenAI class, which we have defined here. And this is my API key, which I have defined open API key in my environment variable. So we are done with this step 3. Let's move to the next step. Now we have to create a message list. This message list will send to the OpenAI model in form of prompt or the question. So let's move to the next step. So here I will write message 1, and as you know that Copilot will auto write. So here I am declaring role as a system and content as a you are a helpful assistant. And the second one is a role as a user, and content Copilot give me as a hello, how are you, but we will keep our question here. So let me modify this one. I will say what is the capital of France. So now our message is ready. This message we are going to send to OpenAI. How we are going to send, we will see here in next step. So in next step, we will make a request to the API call. How we can make a request? So again, we have this code ready. So in response 1, this is my OpenAI client, which I have declared over here. So this is my client, OpenAI client. This is a chat completion. This is a standard format which you have to use to send your API message to the OpenAI model. Now here we are defining which model we want to use. It's GPT-4o mini, and message 1 we have defined here. So our question is, what is the capital of France? So this will call a API and send it this question over here. Now we have to validate the response. So let's move here, and simply we'll print the response. Now you can see this is my response 1, and let me just delete this part so we can see the raw data which we are getting from the OpenAI, and then we will refine it. So this is response 1, and let's run our program now. So let me run program python main.py, and this is API key found, and now we got the raw data from the API model. So in this format, we don't want this kind of format, because once we are writing a program, we need a specific format where we can interpret and we can give it to some other input. So now you can see here that this is my test response. This is a chat completion, And here I have choices. Within choices I have a list, and within that list I have a message, and within that message I have a content. So here is my answer. So that's the reason Copilot give us a complete format where we can write. So let me type here response dot one choices, first element message dot content. Now let's see how we are getting the response. So let me clear this one and let me rerun the program. So our question is, what is the capital of France? And the answer is, the capital of France is Paris. Let's change our question. What is the capital of India? Let me write it properly. So what is the capital of India? Now we change the question. So accordingly, the answer should be changed. So let me rerun again python.main.py. So with this response, we got the capital of India is New Delhi. So we are getting a perfect answer with this setup. That means our API key and everything is set up and everything is working fine. Now let's move to the next step. Now, as per our original goal, we want to create an application which will evaluate users' IQ level. So for that one, we need to generate a question. So let me write here question bank, and let me give a question. So here I'm giving a question. Let me go back here. Please propose a hard, challenging question to assess someone's IQ. Respond only with the question. So we are looking for generating a question. So we have given a question bank here, like we have initialized one variable with a question bank. Now we will create a message list. So similar way, the message list which we have created here, similar message list we have to create. So let me just go here and message underscore two, and it will say role as a you are a helpful assistant. I think this would be fine. Role for assistant. And next one is user and content is a user bank, a question bank, I mean. So our message is ready. Now next step is to make our API call. So API call is exactly same. Let me go back here and let me just write response underscore two. So now you can see we will make a same way OpenAI client chat completion dot create. So OpenAI client chat completion dot create. I'm using GPT-4o mini model. I'm giving message 2. Here I have given message 1 and here I'm giving message 2, and my response is ready. So it will make a API call. Now we have to take the response. So let me say generated question. So yeah, Copilot is very smart enough that okay, whatever the variables it wants to generate. So generated question is response to dot choice is 0, and we are printing a question here. Let's check it out this one first. So let me clear this window and let's run python main.py. Now we don't need this optional step, so probably I can comment this part, so it will not generate again and again. So this one and this one we can comment it out, and here you can see that since we have already ran this program, so it has generated the capital of India is New Delhi, but generated question. So it has given a question to us. Now we have only question, we don't have answer. Let me do one more thing. Let me run it again, so it will generate a new question. So python main.py, we are running this program and it has generated a new question for us. Now if you move to the next step here, we have to create another message list. Why? Because we want to generate the answer as well. So message 3, again I will say role as a system, content you are a helpful assistant, and I don't want this, and let me move left side. Okay, and the next one is content is generated question. So now I will say instead of you're a helpful assistant, okay, let me keep this one and let me write one more line, just respond with the answer only. Yeah, that is correct, I need only answer only. So now we have a generated question as a prompt here. Let me close this one. So now we have message 3, and similar way we'll call the API. So response 3 OpenAI client chat completion create, we are using GPT-4o mini and message 3. So this is also good. And finally generated answer. So this is my answer, generated answer. Let's do like little bit in a better way. So let me answer to the generated question. Okay, we can keep like this and let's see what kind of output we are getting. So let me run it again, python main.py. So again, it will validate everything. Here we have generated question, and it has given answer if you pick apple, if you pick orange, and we are getting like multiple answer. Let's generate another question. So python.main.py, and it has generated question here. So this is my generated question, and answer to the generated question is they will be 90 miles from point A. So there is one question, you can read this question, and this is the answer for that question. So now you have successfully created a AI, agentic AI, which can generate a question for you and it can answer for you. And just like that, our first AI agent is working. It generates an intelligent question and it generates the correct answer. There is no hard coded logic and no fixed rules. Everything is driven by the instruction and the AI model following them. This is the foundation of any AI agent. If you understand this flow, you can later build agents with scoring memory, multi step reasoning, or real world integration. Now that the fundamentals are clear, we are ready to move forward and make this agent more powerful. So congratulations, you have made your first AI agent. Now in our next video, using the same foundation, we will make some more agents.